الله الرحمن الرحيم. مركز سفينة الله قدم مسألة الصلاة من إمام المحدث المجدد أبي عبد الرحمن مقبل ابن هادي الوادعي رحمه الله تعالى. Noah's Ark Institute presents to you some issues from the Salah by the great scholar of Hadith, the Alam, Abi Abdurrahman Muqbil ibn Hadi al-Wadi'i of Yemen, Rahimahullah. May Allah have mercy on him and give him a high place in the Jannah. Ameen. From amongst the issues that the Shaykh will talk about, the issue of combining the Salah. The issue of combining the Salah, two Salat being combined while a person is not traveling, neither is it inclement weather. Is it permissible or not? From the issues of the Salah that the Shaykh will talk about is how to answer the call to prayer swiftly and to compete for the first row, as there are many blessings in the first row, while practicing the way of the Prophet by praying the 2 raka'ah of sunnah for the salat al-fajr, for the morning prayer in the house, how one executes that. So we'll see, inshallah, from the benefit of the Shaykh, rahimahullah. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Salatu wa salam ala Rasul al-Kareem wa ala alihi wa ashabihi wa sallama tasliman kathira. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh. فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله تبارك وتعالى وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار وبعد. Tonight is our night for kitab-al-nikah, issues around the topic of marriage from some of the classical books, works of the ulama of the past, and from some of the books that we are studying from, such as Umdat Ahkam by Imam Abdul Ghani ibn Abdul Wahid al-Maqdisi rahimahullah, and also have been taken from the Sahih of Imam al-Bukhari rahimahullah. Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Salatu wa salam ala Rasulillah wa ala alihi wa ashabihi salama tasliman kathira wa ba'd. If the people can make sure that they mute their phones, inshallah. If you can all mute your phones, inshallah, during the lesson, jazakumullah khairan. Tonight, inshallah, tabarak wa ta'ala, we'll take some questions and answers from one of the scholars of our time concerning the salah, as we're in the kitab-salat, the book of salat, and we are in the famous book Umdat Ahkam, the way the foundations al-ahkam by which a person learns what to do in the religion. This is the basic meaning of Umdat Ahkam. Umda, yani your foundations. And ahkam, what do you do in the salah? What do you do in fasting? What do you do like this? Can somebody put their phone on mute, inshallah? Jazakallah khairan. So we want to take some question and answers from some of the scholars, inshallah, ta'ala, concerning this issue. For example, we'll take some of the fatwa of Imam Muqbil rahimahullah ta'ala around the salat. The Shaykh was asked, ما حكم جمع بين الصلاتين بدون سفر بلا عذر? What is the ruling for the one who prays two salat together? What is the ruling for the one who prays two salat together in the same time, back to back, from the 5 daily prayer? What is the ruling for the one who joins two salat together? He's not traveling and he doesn't have an excuse. So Sheikh Muqbil, he replied to this answer. The Sheikh he replies to this, the answer the Sheikh he gives to this. They said again, what is the ruling for one who combines two salat together? He prays two salat in the same time period from the 5 daily prayer, and he's not traveling. And they use the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, which this hadith is in the Sahih of Muslim, where it was reported that the Prophet prayed two salat together, and it was not inclement weather. It was not rain. It was not severe cold, and he was not traveling. He was in Medina. So the Shaykh, he replied, he said, if a person prays his two salat together, meaning, for example, Dhuhr and Asr, in the time of Dhuhr, or Dhuhr and Asr, and the time of Asr. The Shaykh said, and if a person does this marra, or marratain, or thalatha marrat, or arba marrat, or khamsa marrat, and he went all the way up to 10. He said, if a person does this, whatever many times he has to do it, he said, bid-darura, meaning it's a necessity for him. The Shaykh, he says, فَلَا بَأْسٍ بِهَذَا, then there is no problem with this. So we explain, inshallah ta'ala. Normally, you have each salah in this time period. Normally, you have each salah in this time period. And we're talking about either Dhuhr and Asr or Maghrib and Isha. We're not talking about Fajr, because you cannot pray Fajr with anything. We're talking about the two salat of the day, as they call it, Salatul Nahar. Nahar means daytime. So Salatul Nahar, they are Dhuhr wal Asr. The Dhuhr and the Asr. The noon and the afternoon prayer. Or Salatul Layl, and the prayer of the night, Salatul Maghrib, or Salatul Isha. The sunset and then the night prayer, meaning it's nighttime. So we're talking about praying those two prayer, Dhuhr and Asr together, and you're not traveling. Those two prayer in the same time period, and you're at home, you're not on the road. Those two salat together in the same time period, and it's not inclement weather, meaning raining, in our case snowing, like this, which is what's called inclement weather, storms and the likes. And they said this is because the Prophet ﷺ has recorded that he did this in Medina. So is it okay for a person? Sheikh Muqbil, he replied, he said if a person does it at least once in his lifetime, or he did it twice in his lifetime, or 3 times, or 4, or 5, or 6, or 10, or, and whatever the number, he said, after 10, this means it's indefinite. As long as it is what is called darura, then it's okay. That means he has a need for it. And Sheikh Uthaymeen, he was asked similarly, this question in his Majmu' Fatawa, his collection of questions and answers about the person. He works at nighttime. He works at nighttime. And that person, his day is like his night, meaning he sleeps in the daytime while other people sleep at night. And that person, he works at night while other people work in the day. So the Sheikh was asked about this person who works at night and the daytime comes and he fears that he's going to oversleep his salah. He fears he's going to lay down and not pray Dhuhr, Asr, and wake up to this Maghrib, nighttime, because he worked all night. Is it permissible for that person to pray Dhuhr, 4 rak'ah, then behind it, Asr, 4 rak'ah? And we're not talking about shortening, qasr. We said jam'u, just combining only. Because you can only shorten when you travel. Hada ma'ruf, this is known. This is known. You can only shorten when you travel. But the question is about combining the salat together. So Sheikh Uthaymeen, similarly, when he was asked, like Sheikh Muqbil is answering this question, he said if that person has a need, he feels that he can't get up because of exhaustion, he will wake up and all of the salat will be out, it will be Maghrib, and he's awake at Dhuhr time, then it is okay for him to pray Dhuhr and Asr combined, and then he can sleep until Maghrib and get up at the time of Maghrib and do that for his Maghrib, or get up at Isha and pray Maghrib and Isha together combined in the time of Isha. Why? Because this is what's called bit darura. This is a necessity. And he has an excuse, he has a reason. He's not just combining just for the sake of combining. You see. And we know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in his noble book, Hafidu ala salawati, preserve the prayer. And many of the scholars, they talk about this in reference to the time, meaning pray in the proper time. And from the ways of the time of the salat is that the 2 salat of the day can be combined, as you do this when you travel. And the 2 salat of the night can be combined, as you are allowed to do this when you travel. So the combining of those salat, as long as they're the salat of the same species, meaning the day salat, then you can do it. You cannot combine Asr with Maghrib. Naam. You cannot combine Isha with Fajr. No, it has to be Dhuhr and Asr. The salat of the daytime when the sun is up and it's not nighttime, and the salat of the night, Maghrib and Isha. So this, Barakallahu Fikum, may Allah bless you. Likewise, Sheikh Muqbil is saying that the person, bit darura, she has a reason. For example, I'll give you another example. A person, mother, is exhausted from traveling. A person exhausted from traveling, had a long trip. He reaches home, he can't shorten salat anymore, because shortening is only for when you're on the road. But however, you can combine. So rather than praying Maghrib and he's exhausted and he knows I'm going to lay down, I might not even eat, I'm going to wake up, it's going to be probably 2 in the morning, Fajr, then he has darura. He has a need and to pray and rest his body in that regard. He can pray his Maghrib and Isha combined together without shortening, and he can go to bed. Well, normally you pray Maghrib and then you wait to Isha. You can pray them both and go to bed. Hakada. Or if a person is not feeling well, they really need to sleep and take some medicine, he can pray his Dhuhr and Asr at the beginning of Dhuhr and get in the bed and sleep the duration of the day so that his body heals, so that the medicine works effectively. Then this is what's called bid-darura. وهكذا إذا كان شخص يشتغل في مصنع, person he works in a factory, أو يشتغل يعني ماذا في مكان لا يصلح أن يصلي فيه, or he prays in a place where it is not suitable for him to pray for whatever reason, then it is okay for him to pray Dhuhr and Asr together. Shorting, no shorting, because he is at home. Only combine. Let's get this straight. The only time you pray shorten is when you're traveling. I'm talking about combining. So it's okay for that person who his job is not suitable for prayer for whatever reason, the environment, the place, the people, that he prays Dhuhr and Asr before he goes to work, and then he goes to work. So therefore, he does have to pray Asr at work, or normally he will have to probably pray Asr at work. He prays Dhuhr and Asr combined together and the time of Dhuhr, and he goes to work, and then when he comes home, he prays his Maghrib and Isha the same way, if this is the only way that he can work in that job and maintain his salah. So this was from the fatwa of Imam al-Wadi'i, Imam Muqbil ibn Hadi al-Wadi'i, rahimahullah ta'ala, and his fatwa, his question and answers concerning the salah. The Shaykh he was asked, rahimahullah ta'ala, how does a person practice all three of these aspects of the salah? Yani masari'a ila tadhkirat as-salah, he hastens to salah as part of the adhan and the iqama. Adhan, initial announcement for the salah, the time is coming. Iqama, the second announcement that we're about to establish salah. How does he efficiently, not procrastinate, hasten to the salah, to catch the salah, and to also be from the people Saf al-Awwal, to get the first husul Saf al-Awwal, to obtain the first row, which is a great virtue for praying in the first row, and praying his salatul tutur fil bayt. Salatul tutur ay rakat al-fajr fil bayt, praying his two prerequisites of the fajr, sunnahs of the fajr in the house. How do you do all three of those? How do you combine between all three of those? What do you do? The Shaykh said, it is better for a person and yusalli rakat al-fajr fil bayti walau fat al-shay. It is better for him, Shaykh Muqbil said, to pray his two sunnahs in the house, even if it means that the salah has already begun. Walau fat al-shay means even if he misses something of the salat al-fajr. Because remember, the first thing, hastening to the salah, meaning he's going early. Number two, trying to get in the first row because of the virtue. And number three, praying his sunnah before fajr, meaning before the iqama of the fajr prayer and not before the time of fajr has appeared. So here the Shaykh, he said, Barakallahu fiqh, it is better for you to pray your sunnahs in the house. Although one might think that the Shaykh would have said, or should have said, catch the first row. And if you need to pray your sunnahs, pray them in the masjid. You have enough time. But the Shaykh didn't take that approach. He said it is better for you to pray your sunnahs in the house, even if you miss some of that which is from the fard, meaning the obligation, which is salatul fajr in the masjid. Why? He said because to hold on to the actions of the Prophet, to do the things that the Prophet himself did, he said, fihi ajran ala ajran ala ajran. In that, in itself, is so many rewards on top of rewards on top of rewards to follow the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So you see, the attitude of the Shaykh Muqbil, rahimahullah, is not to downplay the importance of the first row.
8:17 p.m.
As the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he mentioned in Allah, which is in the Bukhari and the Muslim and others, he said, Inna Allah wa malaika, Inna Allah wa malaikatu yusalluna ala sufuf al-awwal. That Allah and the angels, yusalluna, they give salah ala sufuf al-awwali. Naam, upon the first row. What does this mean? In Allah yusalluna. That Allah, the word yusalluna, either it means to make dua. The word yusalluna from the word salah, meaning salah means either dua, when you ask Allah, or yusalluna means that you're actually, what we understand to be salah, you stand facing the Qibla with the wudu, and you say Allahu Akbar, and you make certain statements and praises, and you move in certain ways, standing, qiyam, ruku', bowing, rafa' minhu, raising from it, wa madhan, and sajda lillahi tabaraka wa ta'ala, prostrating to Allah, rafa' min, and you raise from it with jalsa bayna sajdatayn, and you sit between each two prostrations. Hadha huwa yutabaru salah. This is what we understand. This is what's considered salah when we say salah. So when Allah Azza wa Jal, when the Prophet said, and Allah yusalluna, that Allah yusalluna, it doesn't mean that Allah is praying, obviously speaking. Because Allah doesn't need to pray. Bal huwa khalaqul azim. He is the one who has created much, and He is the great. Huwa al-aliyul kabir. He is the one who is high in every way, above everything, and He is the one who is the magnificent, the great. He is al-muta'ali. He is the one who is lofty. Nothing is above Him, Azza wa Jal. So here, Allah yusalluna, this means Allah Azza wa Jal will praise you. He will speak good about you. He will raise you in degrees. He will mention you in the company of the angels. This is the meaning of Inna Allah yusalluna. When Allah yusalluna, when He yusalluna makes salah upon you, this means He praises you. He mentions you in the good light. He talks good about you. He brags about you. He praises you. Angels. Inna Allah yusalluna, Inna Allah wa malaikatu yusalluna. What does it mean when we say malaikatu yusalluna? Then this means that angels, they make dua for you. So yusalluna, when it's talking about Allah making salah for those in the front row, it means Allah is praising them and talking good about them and bragging about them and mention them in a respectful, lofty way to His angels. And when the angels yusalluna, then this means they are making dua for you, asking Allah to forgive you, asking Allah to bless you, asking Allah to have mercy on you, asking Allah to shower upon you this, that, and the other from His mercy and His blessings and all that the angels ask Allah for those people. The point here, ala sufuf al-awwal, those who are in the front row. وفي حديث آخر قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم فيما كان جوابا على السؤال قال وفي الثاني قال نعم وفي الثاني. In another hadith, the Prophet was asked, and then the next row after the first row, the same thing happens, and he says yes. Even in the next row after that, Allah praises and talks good about those who line up in the second row, and the angels make dua for them, such as those who were in the first row. This, barakallahu fikum, although this is a great virtue and a great action, the Shaykh al-Muqbil, he emphasized praying the sunnahs in the house versus not praying the sunnahs in the house, because by this you get the reward that no one gets, because you're practicing a action of the Prophet ﷺ purposely, sticking to the way of the Messenger. Whereas practicing the sunnah of the messenger is broad. But here the Shaykh is being specific. And that is, the Shaykh is being specific, pardon me. And that is, we don't have any narration where the Prophet did anything other than pray his two sunnah of Fajr in the house. Although he lived very close to the masjid, it was easy for the Prophet to pray two sunnah in the masjid. But he didn't. He always prayed them, the two sunnah of Fajr in the house. Thus, if a person prays the two sunnah of Fajr in the masjid, it is a sunnah of the Prophet to pray the two sunnah. But to pray it in the house is a greater sunnah because you follow the Prophet in totality. And this is why the Shaykh, he said, reward on top of reward, on top of reward, on top of reward. So this, from the issue of the salah, the Shaykh he mentioned, Barakallahu fikum, this issue of maintaining, keeping alive the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, which is to pray the sunnah of Fajr in the house, even if it means you will miss a portion of the first rak'ah, or even the first rak'ah, you will get there late. This is more praiseworthy to keep alive that sunnah of the Prophet than to leave it or to let it be lost. As many of the people today, a'udhu billah, you will find them praying all of the sunnahs, all of the salatul tutur in the masjid. Whether it be dhuhr, asr, maghrib, isha, or any of the salat that we'll say has sunnahs tied to it, you find them praying those in the masjid rather than praying them in the house. And this Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned to follow the Messenger Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَمَا أَتَاكُمُ الرَّسُولُ فَخَذُوهُ. Whatever the Messenger gives you, take it. وَمَا نَهَاكُمْ عَنْهُ فَانْتَهُ. And whatever he tells you to avoid, to sidestep, to leave alone, then do that. And this is from the command of Allah. Therefore, we should try to uphold, keep alive, maintain, and revitalize any practice of our noble Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And this was the point of the Shaykh in answering this. Imam Muqbil ibn Hadi al-Wada'i sallallahu radiyallahu ta'ala rahimahullahu tabaraka wa ta'ala wa sallallahu sallam baraka ala rasulil kareem wa ala alihi wa ashabihi sallama tasliman kathira. We also want to mention one last point around this issue of the first row. And this was an issue we dealt with before in some of the masajid here. People found ishkal, mushkila with it. And that is, the Prophet mentioned khayru sufuf rijal, sufuf al-awwal. The best line for the men is the front. Wa khayru sufuf al-nisa, ماذا al-akhir sufuf, or kama qal. And the best row for the ladies is the last row. But the ulama, they explain, like Imam al-San'ani in the Subul al-Salam explanation of Bulugh al-Maram, that the Prophet only said this not to diminish the reward of the first row, but to show the further that women are away physically from men, the better their salat will be. The better they are, because they are further away from fitna. Imagine a man is praying and a lady is like, Allah musta'an, 1 foot behind him, or half a foot behind him. Can you imagine the mental interference it will cause with the salah? Yeah, for both that lady and that man. A'udhu billah. And this is from the revelation. Prophet ﷺ didn't speak from desires. But however, Barakallahu fikum, from the sunnah of Prophet ﷺ, and we're winding down, is that the men, they line up first. Those children that have tamyiz, except that they race to the front row, they should be behind the men. And then the ladies should be, Barakallahu fikum, behind the children. We find this in the hadith of Prophet ﷺ. And therefore, it's already a barrier between them and the men. But the Prophet ﷺ said the last row is the best for the lady because they're furthest away from men. So what about if there's a divider? There's a divider between the ladies and the men. Then we'll understand that the first row for them There's no harm because there's a barrier between them and the men, which is that divider. And so in that situation, the ladies shouldn't line up in the last row, and then the next to the last, and then the next to the last, practicing that hadith of the Prophet ﷺ that the best row for the ladies is the last row. La. They should line up in the first row. Just if they were praying together alone, how would the ladies line up if they were praying alone without any men around? They would line up one line, then the second line, then the third line, and they wouldn't line up line number 5, number 4, number 3, number 2, number 1, for example. So, yeah, this is another benefit from this issue of the Sufuf al-Awwal. If there is no men, women are alone, or there's a barrier between the men and the women, then that first row for them is the best row. Allah would make a dua for them, just like the first row of the men, because of the general hadith of Sufuf al-Awwal. But if there are men involved, then the best row for the ladies is the last row. And this is from what we want to present. هذا وصلى وسلم وبارك على رسول الكريم وعلى آله وأصحابه وسلم تسليما كثيرا سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا هو أستغفره ونتوب إليه. Any questions or comments for the people on the phone line?
8:28 p.m. Screen love.
Assalamu alaikum wa barakatuh. Wa barakallahu feekum. وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على رسول الكريم وعلى آله وأصحابه وسلم تسليما كثيرا سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا هو أستغفره ونتوب إليه.